two battles. One catapulted him to the pinnacle of glory, making him the undisputed master of Europe. The other wrote the final chapter of his legend. And both shaped not just Napoleon's fate, but the course of an entire continent. This is the story of a clash between two worlds, the new, born of the Revolution, and the old, clinging desperately to the past. Napoleon, a child of the French Revolution, he grew up in a world where thrones toppled and centuries-old privileges crumbled. On his campaigns, he tore down feudal structures, enforced equality before the law, and built a secular state. The Napoleonic Code became the foundation of legal systems across Europe. His army carried not just cannons, but a revolutionary idea. A man's destiny is shaped not by birth or title, but by talent. Facing him were Europe's monarchies, Russia, Austria, Britain, the pillars of the old world. To kings and emperors, Napoleon wasn't just a military rival. He was an existential threat, a force that could destroy everything they had built, a world where thrones were inherited and the people stayed silent. Defeating him wasn't politics, it was survival. In the fall of 1805, the Third Coalition surrounded France. They counted on numbers and coordination to win. But Napoleon moved faster. In weeks, he transported his army from the English Channel coast to the heart of Europe. He crushed the Austrians at Ulm and set his sights on the combined Russo-Austrian forces. By December, Napoleon was outnumbered. He abandoned the Pratzen Heights, the key terrain. The Allies thought the French center was weak, ready to collapse. They advanced, stretching their lines. Exactly what Napoleon wanted. Hidden in the morning fog, French troops waited on the flanks, ready to strike. When the Allies poured into the French center, Napoleon struck. French divisions surged onto the Pratzen Heights, splitting the enemy in two. On the southern flank, French artillery fired into icy ponds, trapping retreating Russian and Austrian soldiers. Hundreds perished. Within hours, the Allied army was completely shattered. Austerlitz became a textbook of strategy and a symbol of the new Europe defeating the old. Napoleon was master of Europe. His empire reached its peak. But every victory fueled resistance from the old dynasties. Each conquest sparked a new coalition. In 1812, disaster in Russia. Winter, starvation, guerrilla attacks, the Grande Armée ceased to exist. 2 years later, Allied armies marched into Paris. Napoleon abdicated. Exiled to Elba, a mini-kingdom in name only, a gilded cage in reality. But Napoleon never accepted confinement. Spring 1815, he escaped, landed in France, and marched to Paris. Troops sent to stop him instead cheered, "Long live the Emperor!" The 100 Days had begun. To survive, he needed to defeat his enemies separately, Wellington's British and Blucher's Prussians. June 18, 1815, near Waterloo, Belgium, Europe's fate would be decided again. Rain had turned fields into mud. Artillery got bogged down. Attacks slowed. The French assaulted the British center, but it held, and the Prussians were on their way. Napoleon unleashed his final reserve, the Imperial Guard. Soldiers who had never known defeat advanced through smoke and fire. But this time, bullets stopped the legend. The Guard retreated. The French army collapsed. After Waterloo, no Elba awaited him, only a remote, windswept island, St. Helena, from which there is no return. Europe celebrated, a banquet of vultures. At the Congress of Vienna, the powers redrew the map for their convenience. France lost its conquests. Germany stayed divided. Poland was carved up again. Freedom and self-determination only briefly. Yet Napoleon's ideas endured. Equality before the law, secular states, reforms, they took root. Even his enemies grudgingly adopted some of his reforms. The old world returned, but it knew change was possible. Napoleon was gone, but the era he shaped changed Europe forever.